Now, capitalism has now been instituted on 3 continents: Europe, North America, Asia, and is beginning to make very slow inroads into a 4th, South America. Statism, the system that denies individual rights and subordinates individuals' life to the state, whether in the form of feudalism, socialism, communism, etc., has been and remains the historic status quo. If historic and current political economic systems are viewed as a great laboratory, testing the contrasting effects of freedom and dictatorship, then honest observers now possess abundant evidence on which to base a conclusion. Capitalism, the system of individual rights, has brought increased freedom to human beings all over the world. In Europe, capitalism ended feudalism, the dictatorship of the aristocracy. In America, the principle of individual rights impelled British colonists to throw off the rule of the monarchy and establish history's freest nation. And the logic of the country's founding principles led in less than a century to the abolition of slavery, a practice that existed everywhere throughout all history, and one still widespread today throughout the non-capitalist world. In Japan, under America's influence, a semi-capitalist, vastly freer society replaced the military dictatorship that preceded it. In Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Korea, the freedom of their capitalist or semi-capitalist systems enabled those countries to become havens for millions of refugees fleeing communist oppression. I'm fleeing some kind of oppression right now. Montezuma's revenge is not funny. More broadly, it's to the capitalist nations of the world, America in particular, that immigrants want to come, millions of them, both historically and currently, often fleeing political or religious persecution in their homelands. They come on rafts to the United States from Cuba. I mean, Elian Gonzalez's mom drowned trying to get here. By the millions, and for 15 years, the Vietnamese boat people fled for their lives from communism. Millions of them died at sea, either from the piracy rampant in the South China Seas or from the unseaworthy craft they were in. Today, more than 1.6 million of them have found freedom, mostly in the West, many in America. We can go on and on, but it was to the United States throughout all of its history that people from all over the world have wanted to come. Certainly, if I was born today in Zimbabwe or Myanmar or Sudan or someplace like that, it would be America, or North Korea, it would be America to which I would want to come. Now, statism, on the other hand, has brutally repressed people all over the world, murdered millions, and of course causes massive destitution. So the contrast and choice that mankind is faced with today is the freedom and prosperity of the capital system. Maybe I should use my right hand first. The freedom and prosperity of the capitalist system, the oppression and the poverty of all the statist systems, whether feudalism, communism, the reign of national socialism or whatever. Now, the last question I want to raise here is, what can we do? What can we do to promote the spread of global capitalism? 3 things every one of us can do to help spread freedom and prosperity around the globe. 1, and I'll go in ascending order of importance. 1, understand the principle and support the policy of international free trade. Free trade simply means that individuals and companies in one country can trade with individuals and companies in other countries without barriers and taxes imposed by the respective governments involved. Morally, it is the right of every individual to engage in voluntary trade with any other individual he chooses. So long as men do not engage in criminal acts, i.e. as long as they do not initiate force or fraud against others, governments must respect and protect their right of voluntary trade. For example, just as American customers are free to purchase as many domestic automobiles as they choose, so they should be free to buy as many Japanese cars as they please. That Japanese manufacturers are generally of a different nationality, ethnic group, or race than American customers is irrelevant. International free trade is simply the principle of individual rights applied to economic relationships across national boundaries. Now, if an American individual believes he should buy American out of loyalty to the United States, that is his right as an individual customer, although it shows egregious ignorance of basic economic principles. But he should not vote for tariffs and trade barriers that make it more expensive or even impossible for other Americans to buy imported goods. The essence of America is individual rights. This principle includes the right of individuals to trade freely with other individuals both at home and abroad. Restricting free trade is violating the right of men to trade freely with individuals of other countries. And the violation of individual rights is what is truly un-American. Economically, the results of free trade are mutually increased prosperity. In his great work, The Wealth of Nations, published fittingly in 1776, Adam Smith provided the basic economic argument in favor of international free trade. Quote, "In every country it is and must be the interest of the great body of the people to buy whatever they want of those who sell it cheapest." Unquote. You can't beat that for simplicity. If the men of nation X, for example, manufacture widgets less expensively than do the men of nation Y, then it's the interest of the citizens of nation Y to purchase the foreign-made widgets. If the Americans, for example, manufacture software less expensively than do the South Koreans, then the frugal policy for the Koreans is to purchase American software. Smith points out that every country has specific natural advantages in terms of mineral resources, rivers and streams, fertile lands, location, weather, topography, etc., that gives them a competitive advantage over other lands in the production of various commodities. France, for example, has the climate and terrain enabling its inhabitants to produce high-quality wines at relatively low cost. Adam Smith, a Scot, points out that the Scots too could produce excellent wines if they so choose. But given Scotland's colder climate, the production of Scottish wine would require the allocation of so much time, labor, and resources that the resulting product would be prohibitively expensive. It was far cheaper and wiser for the Scots to produce the goods regarding whose manufacture they held the natural advantage, and then to trade with the French for wine. There was a division of labor involved. The road to prosperity is for individuals and countries to produce what each excels at, and then to trade peacefully with men all over the globe for the other goods that they desire. All right, almost done. Just give me 1 minute here. I've got to get myself together. You know, I'm going to survive and just, you know, just struggle here. All right. Now, a further advantage of free trade is that by promoting cooperative and mutually beneficial relations between countries, free trade tends to reduce tensions and national rivalries and therefore serve as a spur to peace. Tariffs and trade barriers, on the other hand, increase mutual suspicions and antagonisms and result in strained relations between countries. To the extent that economic factors are responsible for wars, restrictions on free trade are a major part of it. Now, second of the 3 points I want to make here. We, the free